We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkie. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. We are back in the SMI studio with Mike Nuss, Trevor Howard, and me. They've lowered my mic volume, guys, so sorry if I've been blowing your eardrums out. Mike was a little quiet in the last one, so
no more.
We'll get that fixed. Don't be so quiet today,
No
Mike.
more.
All right, what are we going to talk about today? Trevor, kick us off.
So I think a lot of people today are wondering, how do you actually buy deals in today's market?
Like you're wondering that.
Well, no, I'm not wondering that.
Yeah, wasn't he moping the last time I was here? He was moping.
I haven't closed a deal in 7 months.
It's so hard to do a deal.
I wasn't saying it was hard. I was saying we were doing the wrong thing, so F you.
Oh. Ouch.
Wow.
Actually, he was having a really
good start here.
It was a very emotionally intelligent moment for him, like debriefing.
I always have emotionally intelligent moments.
Grading himself.
Trevor calls me about every 3 months with good news, bad news, and it's always the good news is always the same, that he learned more lessons, that we shouldn't do that again. And it's like
that's good, right?
At what point do you think, can we just stop learning these lessons?
Yeah, that's what I told him. I said, I'm tired of learning lessons. I want the good news to be we actually did something right.
You're
Always
going back
lessons.
in the lesson learning department, Gabe. He's bringing you down a whole nother road you were trying to avoid.
Yeah, I'm too old to learn lessons. I should have learned all those.
You're young, dude.
Yeah, I
You
don't
got
know.
a lot of years left.
Yeah.
All right, but I think today a lot of people want to buy real estate, don't really know how. They're confused with what's happening in the market because stuff is pretty expensive. How do you pencil it? And then rates are really high, and then they're scared prices go down.
Nothing's changed.
You think that's just how it is all the time?
Yeah, I mean, there's always... It's just, what are you focusing on, right? We just have some big target now called interest rates that everyone can focus on as this is the reason why. But there's always something. You're always teetering on the edge of affordability. You talk to the guys that we bought real estate, who bought real estate in the 80s and 90s, and they paid, $2,000 a door, $8,000 a door. They were in the same thought process as most, they were the outliers who saw something and said, this doesn't make sense, but we'll make it make sense, right? It was on the verge of affordability.
What does
That's
that
how
even
it's
mean?
always
This doesn't
been.
make sense, but we'll make it make sense.
To 80% of the people, this doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And then there's that 20% that will go through and figure it out. And then 30 years later, you look back and it makes it look like it was really easy. But they were in the same mindset as us. It was, we're going in. I'm really concerned. How am I going to cash flow? This doesn't make sense. It feels really expensive. No one is, very rarely is someone really cognizant of a really good discount that they're buying while they're buying it. It's all typically retroactive.
So why don't they understand? Like they just don't know enough?
I think it comes down to it's more about, do you have the guts? We've talked about this before. Like, you can sit down and go through the analytical, scientific side of what you should do. And I think almost every time if you do that, the answer is going to be don't do the deal. I mean, I think if you really looked at all the downside risk that's involved and how much you're putting your neck on the line, you would go, I mean, you talk about, husband and wife get together and husband says, I want to buy real estate. And then wife runs them through all the reasons why he's going to lose their nest egg and run them into bankruptcy. Like, if you're looking at it through that lens and you can't, like Mike's talking about somebody that bought in the 90s. Well, if you bought a piece of real estate today and you make it 30 years, you're going to look like a genius. I don't care who you are. The problem is that I see is you actually have to hang on to it. And you have to survive that 30 years or 20 or 10 or whatever your timeline is. But this is a very, very long game. And sometimes you buy something and we've done it recently where we buy a deal and a year into it, we're like, oh my gosh, like, should we have bought that deal? We feel that way today. And as long as we can hang on, I think in 3 to 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is, we're going to look back and go like, oh, we were so forward thinking. we really knew that one day this would be better. I think it's all just a perception of time and how long this thing actually takes. And you just don't want to get wiped out along the way.
I don't think people perceive the risk properly, too. So, like, they think of all the downsides, but, like, the likelihood of those downsides happening depending on how you're structuring the deal, or, like, those people I was meeting with, they're like, well, we can't have risk because we have kids, right? But then if you're thinking like, okay, I have to afford my kids and my retirement over the future, like I feel like you have to do it. You have to invest your money some way, right?
Well, do you?
Well, I think
most
people are
don't.
overvaluing it is what's happening. Is
Overvaluing what?
the risk. That it's just a risk reward analysis before taking action. So that's one issue of it is, should I do this? The other part of it is, well, is this even on my radar to even think about being educated? The other part of it is, how educated are you and what type of education do you have? And now we're in a world where people get to decision fatigue before they even do a resource analysis of what they can afford.
Yeah, so like most of these people I'm talking to, the risk is like, what if I lose this house and I go bankrupt? But then when you start thinking about like, okay, how does that actually have to happen? I mean, it's kind of hard.
I think the other thing is too, is we talk about delayed gratification all the time. I think that when you're doing your risk reward analysis, the risk is very much front loaded. Like if I make the wrong move over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, this could wipe me out. And the reward for what I'm going to get isn't going to come till year 7, 8, 9, 10. So am I willing to risk everything in the short term for something that may or may not come in the long term? And most people will look at that and go, I'm not willing to sign on to $1 million loan to make $100 cash flow a month, because if that goes sideways, I lose.
Yep.
I think that downside, though, like it is there, but the likelihood of it happening is not as accurate as people think. Like they think like it's a
Yeah, because
high.
they're overvaluing the risk.
Yeah.
They're under-analyzing the process.
But if you're coming from an angle where you're a W-2 employee, you make 6 figures, whatever you do, you're doing pretty good, and you're like, I'm going to go buy this deal. I just met with a guy that came to one of our SRE meetups about a year ago. He's 23 years old. Ripped a deal, got a fourplex for like $250,000, borrowed half.
$250,000.
Borrowed half.
He bought that from Gabe?
Gabe, yeah.
Gabe sold something for $250,000?
He told me it's not very nice, and I believe him.
Gabe's a slumlord.
So Gabe,
Different Gabe, not this Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe
Gabriel.
He carried a contract for the guy, and then he borrowed the down payment from Dad, and he's paying Dad back. But the thing cash flows like $1,000 a month, which is great.
That's insane for $250,000.
But imagine you're 23 years old and you're making $20-25 an hour, and one of those tenants moves out, and you've got a $25,000 turn. Well, a $25,000 turn means a lot more to him than it does to us, right?
Yeah, but in that case, it's not a $25,000 turn. It's you're going to go do all that work yourself, and that's going to be a $5,000 turn or whatever.
I doubt it. It's probably going to be more.
7.
So, okay. So again, you went into a deal with no money. You make $50K, $60K a year, and now you've got to go in and work nights and weekends for 4 to 8 weeks and spend $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 of your own money to get that unit back online. So you lose a couple months of rent. Now you're not cash flowing. Now you're outlaying the money. I think it's pretty easy for somebody in that position to look at that downside risk and go, I'm not doing that deal.
Absolutely.
I would lose, I'm going to lose half my annual income and all my evenings and weekends to go turn that one unit so I can get back to $1,000 a month cash flow. Like, you get where I'm coming from, right? Like, the short-term risk is very high. In the long term, he's going to look like a genius as long as he can hang on to it and he can actually turn that unit and get it filled. But what happens if 2 or 3 tenants move out?
Then he's just effed.
Well,
or he's got himself into a big problem that he's got to figure his way out of, and maybe there's upside where you can put $40,000 into it and it's worth 120 more because it was a POS and now it's not. But
that's a very, very small deal that could just wipe somebody like him out in a short period. I mean, it could be this thing could be $1 million property in 10 years. If, over time he cleans it up, whatever, raises rents. But what happens in the meantime if he can't hang on to it?
Well, think about it. So, like, what can you do? Like, you always have options. Like, you could, hey, Dad, can I borrow $10,000 more and I'll pay you more interest?
Well, and that's
I can sell part of this deal to someone else. Hey, there's some upside on this and we can turn it, but I'm out of money. Like, there's always a solution.
Sure. So every solution that you just came up with, where in the mainstream headlines of scouring real estate knowledge and information have you heard that stated
on the Deal Junkies podcast?
Yeah, right. So now. That's reason 8,483 to listen to Deal Junkies. But that's, again, it's in this world of just fast information. How many people realize you can do that? You can just get into a deal, know it's a really good basis. If you get in trouble, guess what? You can sell part of that.
Or sell all of it.
Or sell all
but
of
then,
it.
But then you still lose because it's like
Not if you made money.
Yeah, if you could sell it for more. But now you get sale costs and you know.
But as long as you can make money, right, in that process, as long as you don't lose, you won.
It's true.
And then some people will frame a loss as a win anyway. So you just can't lose.
You don't lose. You learn.
So is that what you're saying? Is that there was that list of statements that I'm supposed to disagree with, and that was one of them.
What is some of the real estate advice that you hear regularly that we don't agree with?
Are you talking about from like real estate investors or the average person? Because that's very different. Like the average person is like, you think about a normal person trying to invest in real estate, like they don't get it, like, right? And they think it's like this unachievable thing versus everyone we hang out with, like you talk to them and you're like, yeah, buy the deal. So like Drake, he's in our office and now he offered on 3 property. He offered on, this kid's 21. He offered on $3 million worth of real estate because he's just hanging out, right? And he sees us doing it. He's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like all these people are doing it, so I could do it. What you got, Mike?
I don't know. There's nothing intriguing.
Well, one of the first bits of advice I was given is you never buy a deal that doesn't cash flow.
When you're starting out, like that's probably a really good call.
But we're using this one example of, okay, we've got a very low basis, got a nice creative structure, technically has low leverage because dad would probably let him off the hook if he couldn't make a payment or whatever. But it cash flows from day one. It cash flows as long as it's full.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to cash flow.
Yeah.
Well, and then do you understand cash flow and the maintenance? And it's like, oh, has he not had to do, whatever, $1,000 of maintenance in a month type of thing? Or maybe he's accounting for it. I don't know.
Most people don't realize that a performance is achieved over a period of like 2 to 5 years. And depending on what you're buying and when you buy it, you're not in a lot of control of when that bad year hits.
And if you don't have a base, you don't have already a portfolio that's cash flowing, or you don't have a business that's giving you free cash flow, like there are good months and bad months. I mean, you could look and go like, oh, my rent roll, I'm 100% occupied now. This is going really well. And your manager says, I need you to write me a check for $20,000. Okay. Well, that's a big check. I mean, even on a fourplex, we own some fourplexes. We get cash calls on these things from time to time. And they're not small. They're just as big as when it happens on a 50-unit complex.
Yeah, we had to spend $47,000 on a 6-unit to replace meters, electrical meters, and panels.
That's all.
Fucking insurance.
Money, something that brings you $0.
No dollars.
More NOI. It's just
$0. And the worst part is it's brick, so it's all done like externally through conduit. So you have all this ugly fucking gray piping shit
coming out the side.
Yeah, dude, it's so tacky. But these also have shitty zonal gas heaters, like the entire wall unit, floor to ceiling unit, and we could never deal with those because of the power issues. So now we can put in real like mini splits.
That's not a fun $47,000 check.
No.
So for people like starting out, they're thinking about doing this. Like, why would they? You're talking about the negatives, but what are the positives? Like, why would they?
What's the other option? And so that's to really answer your question is why people don't do it. Is most people just feel like the option they're in is better than the option of getting in or trying. And part of that is a risk reward analysis, right? It's an option, it's an opportunity, it's a resource allocation, risk reward.
I feel like it's so far off because people are willing to pay like $200,000 to go to college that you don't get that much out of, but not put $50,000 into a real estate deal.
I don't think you understand how the psychology psyops of mainstream media works. And how
you got to not follow that. That's the whole point. Like if you're doing that, you will never do anything. You're just gonna, if you follow the mainstream, you can see your future. Like you can.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, okay, so that takes out 80% of people.
More than
more than that. And then what's remaining is the majority of them get taken out by not understanding how to analyze, and part of that is just the overload of information and decision fatigue. Of where do I begin? Where do I start? Complicated by, we're in a really different market right now than most of the information getting thrown at you has proven to be accurate or profitable, right? So right now, the only type of information you can get is how to transactionally do something. None of this education is how do you actually be profitable? Where's the profitable lens?
It's just how to get.
There's
into
a ton of that
Correct.
out there. I feel like how to analyze deals, how to.
That's not how to be profitable.
how to analyze and operate a deal. Like that shows you.
Okay, operate, sure. But how to analyze a deal on paper, which is 90% of the education that's out there, is not how to be profitable.
I feel like
because
everything
how do
is
you
out
get the
there
price?
for free. Like everything's out there.
No, you're discounting the most important part, which is, okay, well, of this pro forma of every single line item, how do you get the price to the price that makes sense for you? How do you know that it's 5% maintenance that you plug into that calculator? How do you know, and why is it just 5% vacancy that you plug into the calculator? How do I negotiate debt service? How do I know what an actual cap rate is for this market? How do I know if this is a good deal to buy? How do I know that this is going to go up in value from the things that I do versus is this going to go up in value because the market's going to push it?
I would say you don't know any of that. It's all future unknowns.
That's exactly what I'm trying to point to. And so if you're already just from a mainstream thinking, most people are sheep standpoint, 80% are off the table, then the next remaining people go through that thought process, and most of them say, nah, I'm pretty good with the option that I'm in, and I don't need to change. I would rather stay.
Well, then that's awesome for those people.
Okay, like, then what's your question about?
It's for the people who want more, because most people are on this path, and you can see your exact life. Like, you want to go to college, you want to get a job, you want to find a wife, you want to have kids, you want to buy a house.
This guy having an existential question going on here. So how do people that want more get into real estate? Is that what your question?
Yeah, like the people who actually want to do this right now in this period of time, what should they be thinking? What should they be doing?
My question would be to sit down and ask yourself, why do I want to do a deal?
And what do you want out of it?
And what do you want out of the real estate? And when I sit down with people, they'll always go, Gabe, what should I do next? And I go, well, that's a question you have to answer because you have to decide what you want out of this real estate. And so you think about, you go down the path of like, first off, it's really hard to save up a down payment. If they're just going to do a traditional deal and they got to put, let's say
20% down. Yeah.
Let's say you're going to do a little deal and you're going to spend
$100,000.
Yeah, $100,000. You still got to save up
$50,000,
$25,000 to $50,000.
Oh, I meant $100,000 down payment. Yeah, like you buy a $400,000 home, you put $100,000 down. Like that takes years.
So let's start there. Yeah. Like, how long did it take you to save up $100,000 or $25,000 or $50,000? Like,
or another option is a $400,000 home with 5% down for $20,000, but now that loan has you tapped from a monthly standpoint.
Yeah, and you own something, so then you get to say, okay, I own a door. But what does it do for me?
Right.
I get some depreciation. I get maybe a tiny little bit of
depreciation
cash flow
that you don't need.
That you don't need.
Yeah.
Like, what is it? That's what I'm getting at. Is like, what is it doing for me?
It sets your whole retirement up.
Okay. So here's the time thing, and I'm getting back to. Most people are not thinking about their retirement when they're 25, 30, even 40 years
I don't
old.
understand, because the whole point of going to work is to get money to retire, right? Like, that's the end game most people are playing. That's what 90% of people are doing.
Nope. No.
Why do they go to work?
You don't
they
understand.
Go to work to get money so they can stop going to work one day.
So they can pay their monthly payments.
And then retire and stop going to work.
No, that's not why they're going to. Most people don't go to work every single day so they can go to retirement. They go to work every single day so they can pay their rent next month. Like, the mindset you think people have does not exist, Trevor. At the masses, it does not exist.
Most people go to work so they can save some money to live daily, yes. And then the goal is to retire.
No.
That's not true. So I work hard so I can get a raise, so I can buy a better car and get a better apartment.
It's not to retire.
Everyone working wants to stop working.
Eventually, but does anyone... Okay, it doesn't even matter what they say, just what are the actions? You have to create a tax code base for people to save for retirement, because you no longer want corporations to provide for people's retirements. That's the only way people do it, and they're not doing it for their retirement. They're doing it to avoid taxes.
No.
Yes.
No one's thinking about avoiding
No one's
taxes
putting
with
money
a
in their
W-2.
401k because they're saying, I'm going to retire off this. They're doing it because, this is a good tax move for me.
Right, dude.
80% of the money that gets put into those vehicles is because of taxes.
You think the average person isn't thinking about real estate and they're thinking about their tax bill and how much they can save in taxes?
I do, 100%.
No shot.
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
Shot.
No.
Right?
If they were, we'd have a lot more competition.
Yes. I think most
they were thinking
people
about
think,
taxes?
no, dude, most people think on a month-to-month basis, they have no clue clue how to retire. They don't actually understand how this retirement vehicle can get them to retire. They have a charade game with the financial advisor that the business hooks them up with, but the real reason they're doing it is because their employer's matching or there's some type of tax benefit and someone tells them they should do it. They're not doing it because they actually believe by doing this, I will retire.
So they're putting money in their 401k because they think it just saves their tax bill. That's their whole reason.
Actually, I think it's just because that's what they've been told they should do.
Exactly.
That's why
retire.
That's why I should get good grades so I can get into a good college. I should go to a good college so I can get a good job. I should get a good job so I can get a good raise, so that I can hook up with a 401k plan and I can put some money into something, and then one day hopefully it all works out.
To answer your question, the people that actually want to retire don't do that. They do lots of other things. They invest in other things. They put their money towards other things. And so if people actually knew what it took to retire, or actually thought outside of a mummy sheep-like aspect of, well, my advisor says I should do, there are different steps to it. And people tell you what they believe. And you have a very misunderstanding of what actually motivates and drives most people.
There's a common mistake, I think, that we make in life where we think that other people must think like we think. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, we run very much counter to what we were taught. Like, I mean, everything from the day we were born was setting us up. We got a Social Security number for a reason, so that one day we could pay into the tax system. Like, we are a number, basically. And at least the three of us somewhere along the line said, I don't want to be that number anymore, and I'm going to go outside of what I was told to do. Mm-hmm. This is where Rich Dad, Poor Dad comes in. I think everybody should read that book. But we started thinking about how can we get money to work for us. We could have done stocks and bonds and gold and all the other things and realized, well, those are a great, some of them are a great store of value. Maybe you put all your money in the Dow and, you stick some money in there, and over time it grows, and good for you. Like, if you understand the stocks and you know where to put them. I have friends that are making lots of money in the stock market right now. A lot more than my real estate friends are making in real estate right now. In the end, will real estate still win? I think so. That's what we're placing our future on. Our whole entire thesis is that real estate is the greatest wealth creation tool in the history of man. So we want to own on the doors, but then you own a lot of doors. We had a meeting with a guy the other day, very successful, has owned multiple businesses. He owns lots of doors. He's an LP in a bunch of projects. He's 63 years old. He's like, everybody around me is dying in their mid-70s. I should probably figure out a way to retire. And he's like, he looks at us and he's like, this is hard. Like, this is hard. Even a guy who has been doing all the things that we're doing for most of his career, who's very, very smart, by the way, is going like trying to balance this all out between depreciation and what I should buy, and should I be an LP? Should I invest with a financial advisor? Should I be buying doors by myself? Should I be a partner? Like, it's very, very, very hard. I don't think most Americans will be able to retire. I don't think they'll be able to retire, at least with the type of retirement they would like to retire with. I think that the thought process is I'll get to a certain age, my house will be paid off, I'll cut my expenses down, and I'll become a coupon clipper, and I'll hopefully get some Social Security, and maybe I'll have a little bit of 401k money, or have something else coming in. I'll be able to basically go back to the way you lived when you were a poor college student. I get to do that again when I'm old, and then I don't have to work anymore.
Which is how 401ks are sold to us.
That does not appeal to me.
Right.
Personally, I want to live a good life now, and I want to set myself up for as I go forward. It's reliant less and less on me and more on the businesses and the buildings that are going to take care of me as I get there. But you could put your whole life into this and get to the end, and your investment thesis could be wrong. Maybe you bought the wrong building. Maybe you invested in the wrong thing. And there's stories all over America where people put all their chips into one pot and it disappears. Yeah. It happened in the 2008 crash where people are like, I was going to retire next year. And today they're probably still working because they couldn't retire because their whole the whole thing went up in smoke. So what are we saying? Buy real estate or don't buy real estate?
Do it very smartly and very carefully, and don't make big fucking mistakes.
I mean, but even people that are doing it every day like us make mistakes. So,
but just not big, overwhelming mistakes.
We talk about analysis paralysis a lot, and I know a couple folks that I've mentored that it took them years before they finally bought their first deal, and then they finally found a duplex for $100,000 or whatever, and they bought. It's like they did deals where it was almost like my mentor taught me. He said you just can't stub your toe on the first deal, because it'll wipe you out. Yeah. You'll never want to do it again. So like getting into your first one is ultra hard because you don't know what you don't know, and you can't stub your toe on the first one. Yeah. We've stubbed our toe on many after the first one, but that first one has to almost be a unicorn deal so that it gets
that's why house hacking is such a great first step, is because you're taking care of your own shelter component and putting a chess piece on the table.
So 1 to 4 unit house hack.
Yep.
And you can get in with high leverage. Now you're still going to run into that same problem I'm talking about, though, where you got CapEx. And if you don't have a base, like I would say if you had $100,000 to put down.
But that's the other reason, it's just not everyone's meant to own real estate, because you have to have a different mindset when it comes around savings and liquidity, and what are you in a purpose from like a intentionality from a financial standpoint.
This comes down to like a business owner who you work, 80 hours a week, and you get to the end of the month, and instead of getting a paycheck, you have to write a check because the company didn't make money. Mm-hmm. Most people would not be very happy about that. As a business owner, you have to be okay with it, because it's not a job. It's not a guarantee. And it's like, this is my business and it has to survive, because one day it is going to take care of me. But right now I have to take care of it. So you buy a building, you have to come at it from a mindset of, I'm not buying, this is not a coupon clipper. I put $100,000 into this fund and it throws me off, 4% a year. This is, I'm putting my money into something, and it may or may not always feed me. I may have to feed it. And so I would recommend, if you're coming in with I would recommend, number one, to have a base. I would have some cash. I would definitely, I would have some reserves. And if you said I saved up $100,000, I'd say congratulations. It's very hard to save up $100,000. If you can save $100,000, don't use it as a down payment. Try to get into that deal with as little money down as you possibly can, because you're going to need almost every penny of that $100,000 as a base for when you're doing your CapEx, when you're covering your bleed, and you're doing all the other stuff. Like $100,000 is a great reserve.
Wait, you're saying take on more debt, have less equity, and have more liquidity. Mm-hmm. It's actually a very safe position to be in.
Paul used to say, protect the cash.
Yep.
So he would get the cash. I'd watch him do a refi, and he'd pull out millions of dollars in a refi, tax-free, which is brilliant. And then I'd say, Paul, you got all this money sitting in your pocket. Here's a great deal. Why don't you just use a down payment on this one and do it? And he'd go, no, I have to protect the cash. I have to protect the cash. So he would fight tooth and nail to find a way to lever into the deal, knowing he needed the cash down the road. Yeah. And then when you're putting the money in down the road, it's a write-off. There's a tax advantage to that. And so you take your hits, or your paydays come out in the form of debt, but then you protect the cash. So when the cash goes back in, it goes in post closing, when you can get a write-off benefit to it, rather than I'm just taking
a basis.
Rather than I'm going to go pay taxes on this money. Yep. And then go park it in an illiquid asset that I'm not going to be able to get out. Now it needs a $40,000 roof, and I don't have $40,000 because I parked all my cash in the building.
Right. And that's just parked as basis.
But most people would say over-levering is the number one mistake that you can make, is taking on too much debt. The standard rule of thumb would be over-levering is the problem. Mm-hmm. I would almost disagree with that. Mm-hmm. I mean, our whole thesis has been we're leverage buyers, so we want as much leverage as we can get. But then we leverage into a deal, and then we have months where we're like, oh my God, we got to write a check to this property. Yeah. That's not fun, but at least I have the money to write the check, and it's not all parked in that deal.
Yep. And that's where liquidity, for someone trying to invest in someone or with someone, and understanding that liquidity is a lot more powerful than having skin in the game when it comes to an actual problem. Like, sure, having skin in the game and having your mindset on that project is necessary and significant, but when shit hits the fan, that has nothing to do with getting out of the problem, because you've already blown a wad.
You did it. Yeah. I called this paying your down payment late.
Yeah.
It's like you came into the deal with less down payment. You're still going to have to write that check.
Yeah.
It's just not happening at the closing table. It's happening during your operations, stabilizing the property. So would you agree with that? On your first deal, it's got a cash flow?
I mean, it depends on the person. Like, everyone wants a one-size-fits-all answer, but it's like, what are you trying to get out of your life? One, like, what are your goals? And then how does real estate help that or hurt it?
Well, okay. To answer your question, in the context of keeping momentum and desire to stay in real estate, then absolutely. To Trevor's point, does it need a cash flow? No. To the right person, you can have negative or neutral cash flow and have a better benefit than the actual cash flow cost you. That being said, are they going to have momentum to stay in it for whatever reason?
If you're just starting out, like when I started out, right, like I would save up 10 grand for reserves on each property, and then I'd buy something that cash flowed, so then I could build up that reserve after I would spend it, and that's because I made not very much money. So like that was necessary at that point. And that's where most people probably start. So then it started benefiting my life, right? And then I had the cash flow, and then I had like my first 30 grand of cash flow annually. And then I could just do whatever I wanted because it supported it. And I had my reserves. So if something went wrong, it was there. Then I'd build it back up.
So reserves is an important part of your calculation. You got to have.
How many people do you think can build reserves quickly?
Not quickly.
I mean, you just talked about how hard it is to save for a down payment. But then now you talk pretty flippantly about, well, I just build my reserves back up.
Well, I mean, for me, like I sacrificed to do that, right? So
Sure.
I made 50 grand
That
a year.
wasn't the question. It wasn't about you.
So
It was,
I could save up my reserves and a down payment for 2 houses every single year, making 50 grand a year.
Could you do that today?
Yeah, if I
again,
needed
like
to.
you're asking a question about why don't people do this, and then you're answering it, well, I can do this. That's like
You're
a way
asking
to
me a question.
No, I'm pointing out that you're going to drive, if not yourself crazy, you're going to drive me crazy.
You're just
asking
crazy in
questions
general.
about the general public and then answering it. But this is what I can do, and
Anyone can do
not
that.
acknowledging the fact that the general public is not fucking you, dude.
Anyone can do that. Like I'm not special. Like you can live off less and save more.
I think that's where you're wrong.
100%. You
Anyone
have no.
can do that.
you-
Anyone can do that.
Trevor, you have no understanding about the lack of drag that you have in your life when you make a statement like that.
That's like Elon Musk saying, well, anyone can build a spaceship because I just read a book and built a spaceship. It's like, well, okay, but if anybody could do it, why did only one guy do it? Like, I mean, yes, if one person can do it, technically anybody could do it. However, it takes a very special set of skills. It takes
But that's the cool part about real estate. It doesn't like
it does.
not
Absolutely
for the
it
beginner.
does.
Like
It does.
for what I was doing. Anyone can do that. Like
No,
starting
I
out.
don't think so. I don't think everybody has the guts to do it. I think
I feel like it didn't take guts because if you look forward, it was riskier to not.
I just don't. I think
Dude, again, that's just a mindset.
I think that you're unique in the sense that you're a young guy who looks out into the future. You're looking at your future self often, and you're doing things for 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old Trevor, and I just don't think that's normal. I don't think every person is doing that. I don't think I did it. I didn't do it till I hit 40, and I'm like, I better do something.
Dude, you were doing it at 17. You're like, grandchildren are going to be awesome. Let me start now.
That's the funniest thing he's ever said on this podcast.
I had a lot more fun making kids than I did buying real estate.
Oh, you weren't thinking about grandchildren while you were making kids?
I wasn't thinking about kids even. Yeah, I was thinking about something else. Yeah. Yeah. I think that, you're an engineer mind. I think everybody's given different gifts. Everybody has a different level of intelligence. Everybody has a different appetite for risk. Everybody's in a different situation with their spouse or lack of a spouse. Everybody's in a different situation with kids and their work life and their passion and what they want to be using their time for. And so somebody that just says like, okay, I'm a single guy who wants to live cheap and I want to retire early, and you have that engineer mindset and you have no fear and you're willing to take massive action. So these are lessons for everybody listening when they're going like, I want to do a deal.
I had fear. I was shitting my pants signing my first loan. It's terrifying.
So a person who has very low level of fear relative to the general population, unpack that statement and relate to the general population.
No, I had a ton of fear doing that because you don't know if it's going to work out or not. But it's back to the thing of if I do what everyone else is doing, you can see the result. Like you can look at the dude sitting next to you that's 10 years older.
Yeah, but there's just as many of you that fucking failed. Like it's just who are they going to point to? It's the gap or the game. Are they going to look at Trevor's success or are they going to look at Joe's failure? It's an internal decision.
There was more risk
first
to not make the decision.
Dude, that doesn't...
Like if you look at it,
that isn't
there was more.
Even,
you had a guaranteed
that isn't
outcome.
even a question you ask if you aren't aware.
Yeah,
and people don't get aware because they look at Trevor and they look at Joe, and a very small portion of our society looks at Trevor and goes, I want to be like Trevor. The majority of people look at Joe and they're like, yeah, I don't want to be like Joe. I'm just going to be what I am.
No, I think they just don't think about it, and I was fortunate enough to think about it.
That's exactly what I just said. They're not aware enough because they get to the point before they even ask the question to create the awareness level. They just look at these two things as an option, and where they're currently at is the third option, and they choose option number 3 that
Anyone
they're already
can
living
think
in.
about their life, like sit down for 2 hours and
Anyone
think about what
can,
do
but
you
very
want.
few people. Okay, can we stop this?
Mike,
what?
you just hate the general person. You don't believe in them.
What?
You're negative.
Trevor, I have a question for you. Why do most people decide to be employees rather than start their own business?
That's what I did too. Like that's just the path you're taught, right? So if you're on this path and you don't free think, like you will go down and do this exact route, and then you have to think about what do I actually want to do in life, which anyone can do. It's free.
Okay, how do you become a free thinker? How do you step outside of the mindset that I need to do what everybody else?
And then how do you value the free thinking? So you value this level of free thinking very highly, and there's other people that value a very different level of free thinking very highly, which then precludes them from doing what you're doing that you value highly. So a part of it is just where do you perceive value?
I don't know what those words mean, but how I got it was I saw exposure, like exposure to people like you and people living different lives, like because you don't know it's an option until you see it, and then once you see that it's an option, you can be like,
let's go back to the question: why would you, as an employee, because there are people that remain employees their whole career. Mm-hmm. Why would you be an employee and not an employer?
You don't even know it's an option to be an employer. Like,
well, you must know it is because somebody's writing you a paycheck.
You don't
every
even
month.
think about it though. Like you don't even think. Like when I'm working, like I don't know who owns that company or what's happening. Like
really?
I'm just
you think
showing
that's
up.
what people think? They don't think there's an owner?
Yeah, people are just like, this is a corporation,
faceless corporation.
Yeah,
just write
like
you a
there's
check.
2,000 people at the company. I know my manager. Like they just give me money when I show up here for 8 hours.
You never thought about like who's at the top and who's making.
No, I wasn't
money
even
on
thinking
me.
about owning businesses when I started. Right, like I was just like, how do I not do this? Because I look at the dude next to me and he hates his wife and he hates his kid and he hates his life and everyone else around. I was like, why would I do this? I can see the outcome. Like you are shown the future if you just look at your job, look at who's above you and where you'll go to next, and then see it. Like just look. And it was like, why would I do that?
So what would the world be like if everybody just decided they wanted to own their own business and nobody wanted to be an employee?
It wouldn't exist.
It wouldn't work. Mm-hmm. Because everybody is wired different. It takes all types to make the world go round. I think that's the part that you're discounting.
Our system also depends on it.
Is we're not all the same. Now, maybe people listening, Deal Junkies, if you're listening to this, thank you. You're probably wired more like us. That's why you're listening.
There's no way people are listening 39 minutes into this podcast.
Yeah, they hung up after you were yelling at me.
So, but you're pointing out something that is important, that you have to become a free thinker.
Yes.
If you might already be a free thinker, and you're thinking about stepping out, whether that is in starting your own business or in buying a building, you have to be willing. You have to be willing to take a massive amount of risk, and you have to be willing to do something different than everybody else is doing. Probably most of the people around you, if you sat down with them and said, do you think I should go buy this building or start this business?
Everyone says no.
They would tell you no.
Yes.
Why? It's too risky.
They don't understand, and they don't understand the risk. Because to me, right, everyone told me not to do it. My parents told me not to do it. Mm-hmm. everyone around that didn't own real estate said, don't do
And your
this.
parents love you and want you to be successful and have a happy life. So why would they tell you? Why would they?
Because
give
they
you
don't
bad
understand
advice?
risk. The risk was higher to not do it. So think about my downside. So I'm working, I'm making 50 grand a year. You get raised, you get 7, whatever you're making. So my downside was I buy this house, I go bankrupt, and I'm in the same exact spot. Like, is that risk? Like, I don't know. Like, doesn't seem like it to me. I get to do the same exact thing and live the same exact way I am right now is the downside.
Well, you're talking about somebody who has nothing to lose.
Correct.
You're a single person who's very, very young, who has time to start over and doesn't have a family that is going to go like, why do we have to move out of our house and go live in an apartment?
But even the downside of that, like if you think about, is that bad? Is that risk that bad to where you have to live in an apartment?
So, Trevor, how long does it take for someone, the average person, to do their first real estate deal?
I have no idea. Well, it depends.
Let's just
if
throw
they have
them.
help
Is
or
it
not.
3 months, 6 months, 9 months?
But like if they have help and they're around people doing it, like 1 to 3 months.
Okay, the average person, how long does it take them to get their first deal?
The average person trying to do a deal with help, 1 to 3 months.
Without help, just
On their own?
Yes.
A year, 2 years.
Okay. All right. So you're one of the persons where the downside is, hey, daddy, why are we now living in our car or the apartment? Or
Is that the actual outcome though? Like going
Just-
and living in the car?
That's
like,
the fear.
But is
That's
that real?
I don't know if it's real,
Yeah.
but that's what runs through your
why
head.
don't you also let us finish before you discount what
Okay,
you
go
don't
ahead.
understand?
Go ahead.
Okay. So that person also has a wife. So what's the chances they're going to be successful over that year-long period of time when the wife or their partner, the other spouse, but our kids, but about this, but about that, and then braces come, and then, oh, Johnny broke his arm, and oh, we need some more school books, and oh, the clothes are no longer. What's the likelihood that they're going to be successful? And how many people in this world sign up for something they have very little of belief that they will be successful in?
So flip
Like,
it. If you have two incomes, like you potentially have less risk because now you have a spouse working that job where you have other income that can support a basic lifestyle.
you're
And
trying to be logical to an emotional decision.
Yeah, you're trying to be emotional to a logical decision.
No, I'm trying to be logical to how most people think. I'm trying to answer your question in a logical statement, and you're being illogical in thinking that emotional beings are suddenly going to become logical like you. That is an illogical misbelief.
I think you're just a hater, Mike.
No,
You
I'm
just
just,
don't- you
I
just
just
don't
have
believe in
25, I just
anyone.
have 20 more years than you that I just know. It's like, dude, why can you not see this? Are you
I'm
blind?
just saying if someone wants to
This
do
is
it, they
pretty
can.
fucking obvious.
If someone wants to do it, they can, and the risk level that they're perceiving is probably not
Sure.
true. That's all
Sure.
I'm saying.
But that is a long step to go for the average Joe set up in a system where we can't have only a certain portion of our population own real estate. It is designed to have a cap to how many people own real
Mike,
estate.
this is for the people who want to do it, though.
This guy.
This is not for the average person, like you said, Mike.
Okay, so we have metrics on population change, people dying versus people being born versus people moving out versus people moving in. Run those same calculations to the amount of people that own real estate.
Mike,
what is the change?
I believe people can control their life and make it what they want to be, and you think everyone's screwed.
No,
You're negative.
I'm saying
you need some more positivity.
It's been proven over decades that everyone can, but 20% will, if 20% will.
okay.
I just am real with that. You seem to be not
I'm
able
talking to
to
the
believe
20%
that.
of the people then.
What are you talking to them about?
Getting into
My
deals.
experience. Like I'm just sharing my experience. I don't know what you're talking about.
You sound like you hate people. I'm just trying to be honest with who people are.
I'm just saying they can do it.
Why can't people think differently? Well, I mean, we're fucking designed in a system to not think differently, for one. Two,
But
we
they
don't
can.
have America if we're not
If you're listening to
brainwashed.
this, don't listen to Mike. You
No,
can
dude,
do it.
we cannot
You
have
can.
an amazing fucking country to live in without 80% of the people
Sure,
being brainwashed.
But you, as an individual listening to this, you can.
yes, they can.
Mike doesn't think you can, but he's wrong.
No, everybody
Everybody
can.
can. Yeah.
I
But
mean,
most
just the
won't.
fact that they're listening 44 minutes into this fucking thing means they are the unicorns. They're not the 20%, they're the 10%, which means everyone in our audience can.
And probably
Absolutely.
already has.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just going back to the free thinking entrepreneurial spirit that I'm going to step out of bounds of what I've been told is the way to live my life, and I'm going to go take risk, and I'm going to work harder than the average person. I'm going to take way more risk than the average person, and I'm going to put my own money on the line as an average person. And maybe I have a family and they all got to get on board for this, for us to go do it together. You're trying to line up a lot of different things. There's a lot of barriers to entry, I would say.
But what's on the other side?
Well, what is on the other side?
I get to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and that's really cool.
Now, if you were married right now with kids, would you get to do whatever you want, whenever you want?
Probably. I would assume I would make that happen, yeah.
Did he really just say that? Before any woman marries this man, they need to listen to 4602 in episode whatever, 253 or whatever this is. That's amazing.
Yeah, you just...
I mean, I probably felt the same way when I got married.
I mean, Paul talked about how I used to ask him, I said, how do you do it in the beginning? Because you're out buying these buildings, you're leveraging in, like there's probably not a lot of cash flow. And he goes, oh, it's easy. I married a woman who had a job and we lived on her income. And I'm like, well, when you needed to come up with money to fix a unit or do a down payment or something, what'd you do? And he goes, oh, I just took some money from my wife and I did it. So it's like, okay, well, there's the answer right there, is he had a wife.
You got to have a private backing to start.
She was okay with him running around, not making any money out buying buildings. And he built it on her back. The start of his business was on her back. They'd end up not staying married, and ultimately he became a real estate mogul. Okay, great. Like, she just worked a job until the day she retired, and she just lived a normal life.
Yep. Yeah, I think most people think that they need to make money in real estate and own real estate. And there's this, I don't know, it's an illogical...
I think you need to make money
absolutely
and own real estate.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean you need to make money in real estate.
No, I think it's better to get into business and own your own business and make money in business and store it in real estate. It's a lot easier than trying to make money in real estate.
And if you're business-minded, to me, I really respect the people who are working a W-2 job or they're an employee and they're also out investing in real estate, because they're kind of living two different lives. You know, on one side, you're like, I've got this safe plan and I make a good income. Like, you know, we interviewed the guy in the last episode where he's making a good income, but at the same time, he has a startup business. At the same time, he's out buying real estate. He's doing a lot of different things. He also talked about how he has a therapist because, you know, he's probably working, 18 hours a day or whatever. But that's what it takes. I mean, and then you have to ask the question, like you're talking about, like, okay, I could risk my credit, I could risk my savings, I could maybe risk some of my relationships. Is that risk worth it? If you look at a spreadsheet in 10 or 20 or 30 years, the answer is probably yes. But are you willing to put in the time, the effort, the energy, and take that risk? It takes massive action. It takes massive risk to go do it. Are you willing to take that and work your ass off day and night for several years, and also take an equal amount of risk while you're doing it, to where I could work? I mean, everything that I did, I built basically my base in a decade. When I get to the end of that, I look at it and I go, I could have just worked my ass off day and night for a decade for nothing, because all these buildings could fail. All these businesses could fail, and I could end up back at zero and have to start all over again.
That's not for nothing, because the skills gained are something.
Yeah, except for now I'm 50 and I don't have the energy to work that much. I don't want to work that much, and I don't want to take that much risk. So my tolerance for all those things were much higher when I was younger.
But that's just the exponential.
So the cool part, though, is like for you have enough skill and knowledge now. Let's say you went back to zero. You could build up a good life in a short period of time because you did that.
Sure. I learned a lot along the way. Like I said, I'm getting...
Because you learned how to make money in real estate.
But the learning it's tiring.
The real way is...
I'm freaking tired. I don't want to learn anymore. I'm sick and tired of learning.
That's why you need to stop letting Trevor take you down these learning lessons.
Trevor loves to learn. It's his favorite thing.
We got to wrap this up because I got to go bike packing.
Bike packing? That's sick. Good for you.
Yeah.
I thought you were doing that.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Oh, I was, but then it got messed up because it's really hard to get my friends to all go to Italy.
Oh, really? So why is that?
Well, part of it was because we were going to Iceland first, and I was going to go to Iceland to see there's like some lunar eclipse on the 12th. What's today? Oh, I'm 2 days late. So we're going to go there, then bike packing. But it turns out the idea of riding like 80 miles a day on a bike or whatever isn't appealing to a lot of people.
No way.
So the people that liked it, we're just going to do it here.
So what's wrong with these people?
I know. Gosh, everyone should do that.
They just don't get it.
Yeah.
They just
Maybe
can't understand.
No,
why
they
you
get
should ride a
it.
bike.
They know what they like. And they're
They
very
care
set.
about chafing.
All right. What did we do? What was that episode about?
I don't know.
It was making Mike mad.
I think the question we asked is, should you buy real estate? I think that we answered that question with a question. First, ask yourself why you want to own the real estate. And if you think it's because it's going to give you a whole bunch of cash flow and you're not going to have to work anymore, that might be the wrong reason.
No, I don't think that's the wrong reason with the right way you build it.
At least not.
Not in a year.
You're at least going to need to expand your timeline for your expectation to not be, this is going to change my life in a positive way in the first year or two.
Yes.
This is going to take some time to build it up. And in the future, if you do it, we can tell you in reverse. All you have to do is go back and look at the people who bought 10 years ago and ask them if they made a good decision, and they'll all tell you yes. Like, I bought some buildings, maybe I overpaid for some, underpaid for others, and I did a good job. Maybe I operated some better and some worse. But in the end, yes, I'm glad I own the buildings that I bought 10 years ago. But I also had to work my ass off and try to hold those deals together over the course of 10 years to get there. It wasn't just, I bought it and it didn't really do anything for me and I forgot about it in 10 years later.
Yeah, you had to keep making money along the way.
Yeah, you got to figure out how to keep it going. It's owning a business. Every single building you own is owning a business. So if you don't have the guts to own a business, maybe you should not buy it.
If you can't file tax returns, you shouldn't be owning a business.
If you can't file tax returns.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. Your final tax return.
I can't even read my own tax return.
All this shit
doesn't make any sense to me.
They're not supposed to.
All right. Well, Deal Junkies, we probably gave you more questions than answers. So if you want to talk to Trevor, maybe you should call and talk to Mike. DealJunkiesPodcast.com.
It's too negative. Don't talk to Mike.
If you want a little more mature outlook on your real estate investing, talk to Mike.
A more round perspective that won't get you in as much trouble.
But if you just want to close a deal, talk to Trevor. He'll help you get there. All right, Deal Junkies. Hey, we love you guys. Please share us with someone you love, and we'll see you next time.